All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted. I swear every time, I don't know why, I always want to call it Unsubscribed, which is a horrible name for a podcast. It's welcome to Unscripted, one-on-one, and very special guest again tonight. Now, before we get started, I got one question for my guest, and that is, where do you want to go? Where do you go when you want to get live?
Be high, be high. Then you got
Those
to
that
go
are seeing this will absolutely know.
where,
We just went back
where.
to the 216. My brother, my friend, Darren Carter is my special guest tonight. So I just want to make sure we were still on the same page. It's been a minute since we were in high school,
Yeah,
but man, Darren, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
I am, to use the term of the Ohio State University, the Darren W. Carter. Um, hey man, I'm just a nobody trying to do a little bit of something. As you say, we went to school together. Um, right now, I'm doing some things. I've started a little venture out in barbecue, which has kind of been my passion for a while. Founded a group called Cleveland Dads Group here in Cleveland, and you actually got that one in Columbus as well. It's under the auspices of umbrella of a group called City Dads, and just dealing with fatherhood, helping fathers, young fathers, old fathers. Um, we've been able to do some things with different brands as well, and it's been a good thing. Of course, COVID knocked all of that out, but we're going to, we'll try to get back together. Um, Up here, I also tried to do a bike event. I did a bike event for a few years called R Get Up. We couldn't do it again this year because of COVID, but it's held at a local elementary school, and it's like a family affair. The kids bring their bikes. We go on a family bike ride, pedal, not motor, and they have like safety town. The local police come, their bike unit comes, and they help us out, do tips, tricks, all that kind of stuff. And it's a pretty good event, but yeah, I've been closed down pretty much this year.
Yeah.
Pretty much this year. But other than that, I'm a husband of 21 years, and I'm a father. We're foster parents and adoptive parents as well. So, you know, I'm just awesome.
Absolutely. Why? I mean, why
At
else
least
would
in
you
my
be on
in
this?
my head, in my head.
Why else would you be on this? I mean,
Right.
no, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a Raiders fan, man. Sorry, I know.
I know. I know. It's okay.
So you just showed a Cleveland Browns cup for those on the podcast, but it's all good, man. Nothing but love in my heart for all things Cleveland, forever and always. So, um, but and so this is a reunion of sorts. I think 5 years ago. It's been a minute there as well since we had a class reunion. I think is last. Well, no, I think you guys were in town. I can't remember if that was before or after that. You all
I
came to
think
Columbus.
I think the reunion was after, a little
Yeah,
bit after, and that was our 20th.
25th. It was
Was it the
25th.
25th? Are
It
you
was
sure?
25th. It was. I'm positive because I
Okay.
was back and forth on going, and I thought for sure the 25th was going to be like the big one, and I missed the 20, and
20 was more elaborate,
it was
I
huge.
think.
It was
Yeah.
huge. So I saw 20 and I'm like, man, 25 is going to be a blowout. And I went in there. It,
We
it
just kicked
wasn't
it.
nearly as big. So
No, it just, I mean, I guess after a while, I mean, what? I mean, people are in their third marriages, five babies, 3 or 4 jobs. I, I guess the nuance wears off. I mean, we're coming up on 30, so um, it'd be interesting how that comes out. But
yeah. Well,
you
the
know,
team does a good job. I mean, they did a great job that night. I had a blast. Honestly, I
I
had
was
a
part of the
fantastic
team.
time. Yeah. I got there late. But I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I got home late because I drove home that night after.
Mhm.
But had a great time, and the team does a good job. So always good, getting back to them Cleveland roots, and especially Bedford. I don't get back too often now, and
That's
uh,
just a shame.
I got more coming. I got the Unscripted has got some more Bedford coming in the pipeline. I've got some names
Good,
that we're
good,
gonna have a good time. So
good.
I stick true to my roots. Anybody that knows me knows that well. My roots are in the 216, and they will never be pulled out ever. So for sure.
Good for
So
them.
So tell us a little bit about, let's start with, you mentioned it, adoption and family. Can you tell that story a little bit? What's happening with your family?
So we, for the longest, my wife and I, we wanted to conceive. We couldn't for her. Seems like a myriad of reasons. It never happened. And I was not really up for adopting a child. You know, back then I was younger, dumber. I want my own seed. Boom, you know.
Yeah.
Well, my seed and her eggs wasn't working or whatever, you know. So it just went on, and we eventually um, got a godson in our life. We actually held him in my hands at the second day that he was born. And for the longest time, he was the only father. I was the only father that he knew. Um, Long story short to that one, unfortunately, that didn't turn out as well. I mean, we basically raised him since he was 6 or 7, and on the constant, I have not seen him. Our family hasn't seen him for like 2 years. I think I'm sure you've seen many pictures of him back in the day on Instagram or whatever. You've seen him. Got to work that out. It'll come out, but it's fine. But during that process, my wife and I even separated twice, not twice, once for about 2 years, which our family just caused us to live in at two different residences. But, you know, we did separate. Um, and during that time, she became a foster parent. So when we did reconcile and get back together, I could not be one because I'm in the same house. You have to register and do or whatever. But during that time and all that, since we had started to raise our godson who turned son, um, the wisdom in me was like, you have love for children. Children need it. If there is a place for it, let it be. So, we both became fosters, and we had a couple, and then we had a little boy, and he's still upstairs. We had him at 2 months, and now he's 4, so about to go 5. But we ended up adopting him after 2 years old, and we've had a couple of, and we actually have a place now, a 1-year-old dude, 1-year-old. Didn't remember I told you these were well earned. These were well earned.
Yeah.
But the point, there's been a lot of hurt there, when somebody would come or go. But the point of the matter is, and I tell people, well, yeah, I can't do the foster parents, I get attached. Well, we want you to get attached because we want you to treat them as your own child. They need that. They need to be comforted. They need to be loved. They need to feel that they're safe. And even if you do that for someone for a moment, that's a lasting seed. Hopefully somebody down the road will water that, but you've been planted in something that can never be taken away from it, whatever circumstance that they come from.
Yeah.
If you can bear that and help heal their traumas, which is just a one day at a time step, because, they just deal with so much of that, just love it. Just love the child. And there's a lot of children out there that are in the system that needs to be loved. And we don't have enough foster parents, period. We don't have enough foster parents of color. We don't have enough people to open their homes to needy kids because of, unfortunately, some stereotypes about foster kids, which some are true, but it doesn't encompass everybody, as you know. Everything is not general, and nothing is a monolith. So that's my PSA for somebody out there that's listening to you, to be a foster parent.
Yeah.
So we deal with SAFI, and they are a national organization, but they're also statewide here. You got one in Columbus as well. But the county, or there are other agencies, take a look, see, because there are a lot of children, again, there are a lot of children that are just needing that love. And that comes with correction, that comes with adoration, that comes with lifting up, all of that, what our parents gave us, for the most part, what our parents gave us. So
Yeah.
and that's how we got that. So now, my wife loves infants. I don't know why, because it's hard to give an infant back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why little man is upstairs now. But
Yeah. Well, I love
it's
watching
her for both
the
worth it.
pictures on Instagram and social media, and I love all that you're doing, which I think led to that next passion and question for you is the dad group that you're a part of. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. That came out of, I've always wanted to do something like that. It was odd when my godson, when we had him, it was little. That's how actually the bike event came up, all geared up a family bike event. He was trying to ride his tricycle. I was walking down. He was like, "Dad, um, can we get a bike ride with all the dads?" I'm like, I guess. So I went to my local councilman. At that time, I lived in University Heights. I don't know if you're still familiar with that.
Heck yeah.
And it's right near Cleveland Heights, between Cleveland Heights, Shaker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we got a plan. We talked to the recreation director, and we talked with a couple of bike enthusiasts, and principal. There we go. 4 months later, well, about a year later, we were able to pull off our first event, and that event is in its fifth year, or would have been in its fifth year this year. All came from a mind of, at that time, a 3-year-old. A
Wow.
3-year-old.
Wow.
So it was because of him, because I already have a daughter. When we were married, my wife had a daughter from a previous marriage, and she was 5 at the time. I did not have number one dad on my cup, on my coffee cup at all. I tried to raise and gear her like my father personally did me,
Yeah.
but that's not what she needed or
Mm-hmm.
how she grew. So, I mean, oh my God, junior high, junior high school. I swear Alien took her and just brought her back about when she was like 25. I don't know, but it was bad.
Yeah.
And through my godson, um, I learned a little bit more. Well, through her, actually, I'm sorry, I got a good foundation of what's the knots to do.
Yeah.
And we know each child is different, but there is a basis and a foundation. And unfortunately, and I apologize sometimes, but we made up since then. She was like a Cleveland team. You you move away from a bad team
Yeah.
and you go somewhere and win a championship. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what do you do? So
Unless LeBron
it
comes
helped
home.
me. Absolutely. So it helped me grow, and I got more into being what a father should be, not just a controlling or trying to be or strict, because I was trying to make her be something that I wasn't at the time. I mean, I had undiagnosed ADHD at the time. I mean, I didn't get diagnosed until I was like 40 something. So all the stuff I was telling her she should be doing, or all this kind of stuff, I'm flying by night. So there was not a lot of reciprocity there. There was not a lot of good examples.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a friend of mine who, when I started doing a little bit of blogging, um, a friend of mine who used to live here in Cleveland, lives in Indianapolis now. He had started the Indianapolis Dads Group. We came, had a little play date with the kids, and he was like, "Hey, man, you ever think about starting a dads?" I was like, "Actually, yeah, but I don't know what to do. I don't have the time and blah blah blah." But this group called City Dads Group, had everything in place to get a functioning group together and be part of a bigger picture. So got a chance to meet with the organizers in 2015. We became a dance group. So it was going pretty well for a while. It's a lot of hard work. It's hard work, especially when you work,
Yeah.
because the dads really came out of a lot of stay-at-home dads, and I didn't have a lot of those in my group. But like I said, we got to do a little reboot, especially since COVID is here. We haven't really get a chance to do any activities or a dad's night out or anything like that. But that really um, grew my passion in how can I come up with a better father, speaking with other men with similar situations, or being a voice to young fathers that are experiencing something that I went through, and so forth. So it's a great conglomeration of people all over this nation. I think we got like 37 or 38 groups around the country now. So we've all been through something.
Yeah.
We've all been through something.
And that's awesome that you would reach out and make that network of people like that. I mean, I think we could all admit, especially all of us dads could admit, it takes a village to raise
It
our
does. It
and
does.
in that village, we got to have brothers and sisters that we lean on and learn from one another. And I've told it many times. I don't know how many times I sat on Austin's bed and said, man, I'm screwing this up too. Like, I've never done this before. And he's my oldest and my first.
There's
And
no
so,
book.
yeah, there's no manual here. They didn't give us that when we left the hospital. So, it honestly, I don't know how many times I had to tell him, man, I'm sorry, and I had to say
Mhm.
I'm sorry because I thought I got that one right, but I didn't. And as a dad trying to do the best you can, you're going to make mistakes, especially when you've never done it before. And so
Absolutely.
having older parent or older dads or husbands, brothers, friends, whatever it might be in those groups to be able to say, hey, put his arm around you and say, hey, here's how you do that, or here's what I
It
did. Don't
makes
do that. It's
it
huge.
makes a world of difference. And
Yep.
you speak about apologies. I remember me apologizing to my daughter profusely. And one specific time, we was at the breakfast table, and I was eating, my Fruit Loops or whatever, and we was eating, and I'm like super nervous, man. I'm like, oh my God, I'm apologizing to Kia. What if she don't like it and she don't like me no more? She don't care. She get up, run out. I'm just, all this stuff is going through my head. And I'm literally shaking, talking to my teenage daughter, okay? And I'm like, look, Bri, I just I'm sorry. I really want to apologize. I was blah, blah, blah. I went down the road, you know, and she just looked up. She was like, okay. I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, right.
I just stressed out for all this. And she's like, yeah, okay. And our relationship at this point, she's 26 now. I mean, it's wonderful.
Right.
Now we deal with the 26-year-old issue, you know what I'm saying? But the life issues, but as in the bond and everything, it's never been better, which took a long way, but it's good. It's good
Yeah.
now.
And kids give a lot of grace, and thank God for that. You know,
Amen.
they give us a lot of grace, and we got to do
Uh,
the same back. But yeah, thank God that they give us a lot of grace. So, all right, next one, because we got a lot, so I'm not rushing you through these points, but we got a lot to
Dude,
cover.
got time.
So let's talk barbecue, because I know we exchanged a few messages, and I got my Ninja Foodie Grill, which I mentioned on your
Uh,
earlier podcast. I'm locked in now. I'm locked in, and I'm so talk to me about barbecue. What we got?
I, you know, I don't know about you a lot, but I remember when I was younger, holidays, uh, people come over, we have, 4th of July and all that kind of stuff, Labor Day. And who was manning the grill? My dad, you know, out there preparing the night before, getting food ready. You got a little sweat rag over, sweating over the hot coals, flipping those ribs, those burgers and everything. But, the ending of it was to see how people love to eat. And, I'm like, at a little bit, I was like, oh, when I grow up, I'm gonna have family one day. I'm gonna do that to my family. So yeah, I got my little grill, burning up my food and, doing stuff like that. They sort of like it, and I got a little better. And it's something, I don't know when or what it was I saw, but then it was just something that clicked different. I was like, I got to be more than what I'm just doing. This, making a fight. Eddie Murphy. Now that's a fire. I don't know how many people remember that, but um, you know, different types, of how to. I didn't know anything about low and slow. Everything was on how to grill,
Right,
turn, whatever.
right,
So I started to learn more about that, and my love for it grew as the people that I were feeding saw the difference and loved it more.
right.
Um, there's nothing better than to fix something and to put your heart and soul into it, and they like, they just can't, they can't express how they like it, or and it's one thing I did learn. Excuse me. Everybody's not going to like my style,
Yeah,
my recipe. I mean, that's why they got Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's. They all make burgers, but they all make it a different way. So I had to learn that when I was going, but it just became a passion, Then I started getting to find people like, the Myron Mixons of the world, um, watching competition shows, seeing how the low and slow process started, upgrade my equipment, and then from there, they just went, started selling dinners after people, maybe you should try. And okay, started doing that. And it's like, well, this may fly. So, I work in the steel mill industry now, and who we just got sold and bought. So we never know how that's going to work out. But I'm like, I started in there late. I don't want to stay there forever. So I want to have something to, when I'm like, what, I had enough of y'all. I'm getting out of here. I want to have something that I can do. And that's going to, be barbecue. So I started just a little side hustle. I can do it when I can. But it is my passion. I love it. My wife helps me out when we cook. That's a pretty exciting thing there. Wink, wink. And it's just, I can do it all day if I could. So, we try to do a little catering events. We had a couple so far. I do, ribs are my thing, man. I mean, it's gonna be the best ribs you ever tasted. Even if you don't think it's the best ribs you ever tasted, it's the best ribs you ever tasted. So I do like those type of sales and different things like that. I do basically Texas style, which is, the dry rub. And a little low and slow and a little hot and fast, but I always got a little Cleveland kick in there. So just not straight Texas style, just a little something different in there, which I tend to call it Cleveland kick and Cleveland twist rather. And if I tell you, we had to stop this broadcast, I'd be in Columbus and you will never be seen again. So
right.
We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's a great thing, man. Food, it's a common denominator. And it heals so many things. It heals so many things. So I like that something that I put something into makes people happy, Yeah. So that's where Carter's Barbecue, that's where that came from.
Carter's Barbecue. And before we get off, I want to get all the links for everything you're talking about. And because I want to share those out. So anybody in Cleveland, Carter's Barbecue, it's my guy. Get some Cleveland ribs with some Texas flavor.
That's right.
That was a commercial. You could sell that.
I could sell that. Look, I'm gonna rewind that and put that on there. Like, yeah.
Just don't use my face. Just use the sound.
Use the sound.
It'd be over if they show the face. So, all right. So let's transition, and I'll try to get serious for a minute. So you and I grew up in Cleveland. I call it Cleveland. We grew up in Bedford.
Yeah, suburb of.
A suburb of. And a diverse city. All I've ever known, Darren. And so when I look at the world today, actually, pause. Let me go back. Everything you've ever done, and I've always appreciated, you've always been on the next thing. You've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And so I know it was tech and blogs, and you've done a lot of things, and it sounds like you really found your lane with barbecue. And I didn't want to get away from that without mentioning you found your lane. And I know if there's another thing, you'll find your lane again. You constantly do that, and I appreciate that about you. Okay.
Hey, and when the tech space, especially with the blogs, when I started out, who did I call? Mr. Darren Carter. I was like, hey, what's this? WordPress and this and that, and you helped me start out and get out there, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it was fun, and this seems to be the next thing for me. So it may last a day or two. I don't know. We'll see what happens.